It's Wednesday, June 7th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski with the latest local news, including a crash in Weston. The investigation into a 2014 Reading death closed, and an ordinance aimed at stopping young bike riders from harassing people in Milford. That and much more. Frank Granito will have a look at your forecast, and later on a Nutmeg Sports Update, and Donald Eng will join us to take a look back on this day in history. But first, a two-car crash on Weston Road near School Road in Weston sent two to the hospital yesterday. Two people were transported to Norwalk Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Weston Road was also closed for a short period of time while those vehicles were removed. A witness who came upon the scene after the accident happened said both vehicles had extensive damage. Eversource, Connecticut was also notified due to damage to a telephone pole. That accident remains under investigation. And State's Attorney Stephen Sedensky has closed the criminal investigation into the death of Gugsa Abe DeBella yesterday. He said the death of DeBella in Reading in 2014 was not a homicide. Sedensky wrote in a public statement that the evidence does not support a conclusion that DeBella's death was a homicide. Accordingly, the criminal investigation into that matter is now closed. The family of DeBella, who was a Readingite and attorney, found dead of a gunshot wound after an auto accident in 2014 in Reading, had filed a civil lawsuit against the town of Reading, as well as Police Chief Douglas Fuchs, 7 Reading police officers, and killer John Doe back in 2016, claiming that Reading police conducted an improper investigation of the accident. While the state's attorney's findings do not support that accusation, Police Chief Doug Fuchs had long supported the investigation undertaken by his officers. According to police reports, DeBella died of a gunshot wound after being involved in a one-car accident on Umpqua Road in the early morning hours of April 5th, 2014. The first responders to the scene found DeBella dead with a single bullet hole to his head. There was a .40 caliber pistol in the car. The medical examiner later ruled his death a homicide. And there's more on that story at thereadingpilot.com. And in other news, legal settlements over sexual abuse allegations against 4 now deceased priests, including Robert Morrissey, who was the former pastor of St. Mary's Parish in Ridgefield, have been reached between the Diocese of Bridgeport and 5 victims. The settlements were announced by the Bridgeport law firm Tremont Sheldon Robinson Mahoney, which represented all of the victims. HAN's Ridgefield Press reports that Father Morrissey served as pastor of St. Mary Parish in Ridgefield from 1992 until 2002, when he resigned after sexual abuse allegations were made against him. The allegations in the lawsuit that was just settled stem from Morrissey's time as a counselor at St. Mary's High School in Greenwich. Morrissey's priestly faculties were permanently removed back in 2004 by then Bishop of Bridgeport, William Laurie. Morrissey died in 2014. Well, the just concluded settlements involve abuse claims against 4 priests of the Diocese of Bridgeport by 5 victims who were minors at the time of the abuse, though they are all adults now. In addition to Morrissey, the priests and the institutions where they served when the alleged abuse took place are Reverend Martin Federici, accused of abuse while serving in 3 settings at St. Thomas the Apostle Church in Norwalk, St. Edward the Confessor in New Fairfield, and on Emmaus Church retreats in Danbury, as well as Reverend Walter Coleman, accused of abuse while at St. Patrick's Church in Bridgeport, and Reverend James Gildea, accused of abuse while at Notre Dame High School in Fairfield. And in other news, 14 Chipotle restaurants in southwestern Connecticut may have been affected in a security breach early this spring, according to the chain. Chipotle posted on its website that the investigation identified the operation of malware designed to access payment card data from cards used on point-of-sale devices at certain Chipotle restaurants between March 24th and April 18th. The malware search tracked data read from the magnetic strip of a payment card as it was being routed through the POS device. Now, not all locations were involved, and the specific time frames vary by location, but the restaurants include Chipotle's in Bridgeport, Danbury, Darien, Fairfield, Greenwich, and Westport, among others. But you can get more details at chipotle.com/security. And CT News Junkie reports today that the House gave final passage to a bill Wednesday morning that will give the 2 tribes exclusivity over a new casino in East Windsor before it passed a separate bill that included additional sweeteners and sent it to the state Senate. The House gave final passage to the tribal exclusivity bill on a 103-46 vote. The House also passed a sweetener bill on a 77-72 vote at about 1:40 in the morning Wednesday, sending that legislation on to the Senate. Now, the sweetener bill will expand the number of approved off-track betting facilities from 18 to 24. And further, the bill will create an entertainment commission and order the Department of Consumer Protection to create a regulatory structure for sports betting in case the federal ban against sports betting is lifted. During the debate on the tribal exclusivity bill, many lawmakers were still struggling with handing the tribes a casino deal when casino operators like MGM Resorts International had introduced the idea of opening that bidding process. But there's more on that story at ctnewsjunkie.com. And new details today on a Milford ordinance that's aimed at gangs of young bike riders allegedly harassing drivers and pedestrians. Well, the Milford Board of Aldermen this week adopted a bike riding ordinance in response to increasing reports of reckless young bike riders in town. Youngsters who ride recklessly may see their bicycles impounded. People have been complaining about the so-called gangs of mostly middle school-aged bike riders for about a year. Police have said some of the riders are Milford residents and some ride into town from Stratford and West Haven. The young cyclists have been seen pedaling straight into oncoming traffic, as well as forcing cars to stop, doing wheelies in the middle of the road, and weaving in and out of traffic. One group of bike riders reportedly followed a woman home and harassed her after she scolded them. Alderman Nick Vecchiarelli said he's heard several incidents where these gangs of kids are just basically being lawless and they're frightening the people in the community. The ordinance approved Monday night is modeled after a state statute with some tweaks. It says that police riding bikes on a road can be no more than 2 abreast in a single lane, except on paths or parts of roadways set aside just for bicycles. Bicycle riders must ride on the right side of the road with the flow of traffic and obey all traffic rules that cars follow. Bicycle riders must also use hand signals when turning, and cyclists are not allowed to put pedestrians or drivers of cars in danger. But there is a lot more on that story. It's really interesting at milfordmirror.com. Let's switch gears now, throw it over to Frank Granito for a look at the forecast. Frank.
I think we would make a great bike gang, by the way.
We'll work on that.
Just for the record. But Kate, finally some sunshine in Fairfield County as early morning cloud cover has cleared out, and we are looking at mostly clear skies now through the rest of the day. Comfortable out with an expected high of 64 and a light breeze around 10 miles per hour. We're going to see mostly cloudy skies overnight and a low of 50 degrees as we head into Thursday. A little warmer on Thursday with a high of 68, mostly sunny skies again through the afternoon. A couple of clouds mixed in later in the day. Cool conditions overnight tomorrow as temperatures fall back into the low 50s along with partly cloudy skies before what should be a much warmer Friday. And it is going to be warmer out Friday. Temperatures all the way up into the mid 70s again, partly sunny skies and a little breezy out. Mostly clear overnight, a low of 61, but this weekend looks like we are finally going to see some summer weather, Kate.
Sounds good. Well, we're going to step out for a break. When we come back, Donald Lane takes a look back on this day in history. Frank has your Nutmeg Sports Update, and we have more local news coming up after this.
In Sports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Sign-ups are now open for one of our most popular programs, the New England 80 Elite Lacrosse Division I and Division III Showcases. With D1 and D3 coaches in attendance, players will receive a 60-minute webinar with Director of Recruiting Hans Hansen, a custom NE80 penny, custom shorts, and a video of all games. Last year's event sold out quickly, so sign up now for the next showcase coming in January 2018. Like and follow us on Facebook.
When it comes to considering the outside of your home, just imagine the possibilities. Whether your dream is a stunning freeform pool or a tranquil, secluded garden, the team of professionals at Stonebridge Associates will make it a reality. We offer unparalleled landscape design and construction, masonry development, pools, spas, and water features, as well as landscape and garden maintenance. No other firm can offer the same level of creativity, quality, and personal attention. Discover the possibilities at stonebridgeassociates.net or call 203-544-8376 today.
At the Milford Bank, we offer an extensive selection of lending products and services to meet virtually any need. Submit your application online in our Mortgage Web Center. Start to finish, you can apply for a loan in as little as 10 minutes. Our knowledgeable and helpful staff are available to meet with you at your convenience. To learn more about what we can do for you, stop by one of our Milford Bank offices or visit us at milfordbank.com. The Milford Bank, always there. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
On time, done right, safe and reliable. MrHandymanCT.com.
Let our satisfied customers tell it.
I have called Mr. Handyman for every reason, every occasion, every broken item, every leak. They have bailed me out on many occasions, and I would recommend them to anyone.
For any project, large or small.
MrHandymanCT.com.
Pizza to satisfy even the most demanding critics. Choosy Pazza Pizza.
I'm Tracy Masella, a licensed clinical social worker at Silver Hill Hospital in New Canaan. Join me each month as we talk with experts on the front lines of the treatment of mental health and addiction. Straight Talk with Tracy, a Silver Hill Hospital production, airs at 12 p.m. on the second Thursday of each month here on the HAN network.
Welcome back to this June 7th edition of your coffee break on the HAN network, and it's time to take a look back on this date in history with Donald Eng. Don.
Well, Kate, the King's Palace opened to the public today. First, though, we go back to 1776. Richard Henry Lee of Virginia, the President pro tem of the Continental Congress, presents what's called the Lee Resolution to the Congress. The motion is seconded by John Adams. As you see, the United Colonies of Right ought to be free and independent states. It would eventually lead to the Declaration of Independence about a month later. To 1892, Homer Plessy is arrested for refusing to leave his seat in the whites-only section of a train. He would lose the ensuing Plessy v. Ferguson case. Now, he was what they called an octoroon, meaning one of his 8 great-grandparents was black, the other 7 white. In fact, he had to identify himself as being non-white to the conductor of the train before he refused to leave. He brought along a Pinkerton detective to make sure that he had gotten arrested. The case preserved, separate but equal, for another 60 years. Staying with the Supreme Court now, we go to 1965, a little bit closer to home. The Supreme Court hands down its decision in the Griswold v. Connecticut case. This decision effectively legalized the use of contraception by married couples. The decision established that married couples had a right to privacy in their marital home, and that concept was later extended to cover things such as non-married couples, abortion, and same-sex relationships, all established under the idea that Americans have a right to privacy in their personal affairs. Finally, now we go to 1982, 35 years ago today, for this.
The buckle of this belt contains $10,000 worth of diamonds.
This summer, some of the rooms at Graceland were open to tourists for the first time. 3,000 people a day now pay $5 apiece to look at Elvis's costumes and pictures and the replica of his wedding cake.
It's 5 feet tall, got 6 layers to it. Took Cecil's Bakery here in Memphis 80 hours to duplicate it.
Here the public gets to see a part of the private world where Elvis hid from his legend. Rooms like the Jungle Room. Elvis bought all the furniture here in a 30-minute shopping spree after his father said it was the
1982, Priscilla Presley, Elvis's widow, opens Graceland to the public, although some of the rooms remain private even to this day. More than 3,000 visited Graceland on that first day. About 21 million more have followed in the years since. Taxes and maintenance on the property were more than $500,000 a year in the early 1980s. 9-year-old Lisa Marie's trust fund had dwindled to under $1 million since Elvis died. By the time Lisa Marie turned 21, though, the estate was worth more than $100 million. That is a look back in history for today, June 7th. I'm Donald Eng.
Thanks so much, Don. Well, in other local news, a man police say twice was spotted hiking naked in a Connecticut state park is facing public indecency charges. The State Department of Environmental Protection says 57-year-old Anthony Ingram turned himself into state police on Tuesday. Environmental police started investigating when a woman complained that a man was walking naked and had exposed himself to her in the Sleeping Giant State Park in Hamden in early April. Now, police determined that he had hiked there nude twice. Ingram of Wallingford is free on a $10,000 bond pending a court appearance scheduled for June 19th. Let's throw it over to Frank Granito now for a Nutmeg Sports Update.
Thank you, Kate. And yesterday we were at Brian McMahon High School for the Class L girls lacrosse semifinals. Game number 1 featured number 2 Greenwich and number 11 Wilton. The Warriors were 14-8 winners as they advanced to their 5th championship game in the past 6 years. Rebecca Wistreich led the way offensively. She had 6 points on 3 goals and 3 assists. Freshman Sophie Sudano with 4 goals. Ellie Armstrong had 3 goals and an assist, as well as Margaret Smith. But the player of the game had to be junior goaltender Paige Brown, who had 14 saves and kept the Cardinals' offense at bay. Here are the highlights from the Warriors' semifinal win.
Who absolutely crushed it in girls hockey for the Greenwich Cardinals.
As the first shot on goal from O'Gorman. Gets past Brown's right foot. Working to her right, trying to shake free of Ware, trying to get a shot off. Here she beats Lovelace through the 5-hole.
Sudano finally.
She's isolated again, goes to that spin one more time and finishes on the right side.
What a pretty move by Sophie Sudano. It's been her half here.
12 out in front of the net. Lets one go down low. She scars.
Great job by Greenwich here.
Built over its first target, but found Maggie Smith 10 yards later. Give and go with Wistrick up top. She shoots and scores.
Good little give and go there. Maggie Smith gets on the board again. Gonna go here and cut into this deficit.
Quick rip off the free position, and she scores.
What a rip by Genevieve DeWinter.
Sullivan, the sophomore, finds its way over behind the cage. Give and go. Wistrick with Armstrong, and they score again in this tournament. It is an overcast night here in Norwalk, but a huge play here as the Warriors are making it rain to start. And the buzzer sounds as the Warriors have knocked off number 2. They will play for a state title Saturday afternoon. So the Warriors, back in the championship game, were able to sit and await the winner of semifinal number 2, New Canaan and Darien, the final installment of the rivalry for 2017. And this one was over quickly. The Wave had an 11-3 lead at one point late in the first half. Christine Fiore had 6 goals. The freshman Ashley Humphrey had 4. Emma Jacques had 3. Katie Ramsey only had 1 goal, but really set the tone and controlled this game from the start in the face-off circle, and Carly Schudel helping to hold down the defensive front with 9 saves as they would go on to a 20-10 victory. Here are the highlights from the Blue Wave victory. Now with it is Nicole Humphreys backing in and gets Jake's time and space to work with to the front of the net. Shot down low and scores. Crunch moments, and I think that's going to be huge as Bucci fires one upstairs, and we're tied at 1. The player of the Rams obviously want to get going as Jake stepping to her left. Shot down low, got through, 3-1.
Go back. They're fun to watch when they're clicking together.
Dial makes a move from around the cage. What a look from Bucci. It's 3-2. Ramsey off the free position. Pass to the right side. Shot on goal. Score.
And again, it's Humphrey.
They complete the swing. Pass out to the front. Shot on goal. Score.
What a pass. My goodness.
It's Anna Stein. Double team couldn't shake free. Ramsey dodges to the left. Gets to the front of the net with space. Shot and scores. Shot, score.
Oof. There's some smoke on that ball there, Frank.
A much warmer day to end the 2017 season. Armstrong onto the board as she broke free down that right side. Made this year a lot of fun for us, and it's been a blast getting to cover the FCIAC as there will be one more for insurance here tacked on. For Darien, 20. And the Rams 10 as the Blue Wave will play for a 5th straight state title. They take on the Wilton Warriors Saturday afternoon, number 4, number 11. So this will set the stage for a rematch of the 2015 Class L championship game between number 4 Darien and number 11 Wilton. The Wave, of course, coming off 6 straight FCIAC championships, will look to win their 4th straight state championship, 3rd straight in Class L. Later on today in baseball, we will see Staples and Ridgefield at 3:30 from Municipal Stadium in Waterbury. Danbury will take on number 1 Amity at 7 p.m. and number 34 St. Joe's playing in the semifinals against number 3 Waterford. That game is at Palmer Field in Middletown. You've also got St. Joe's softball in action today, as well as Stamford and Trumbull going tomorrow. Boys lacrosse, number 1 Darien, number 6 Wilton, and number 4 New Canaan all in action in the Class L and Class M semifinals. We will have plenty more on all these games later on Nutmeg Sports, plus a complete breakdown of last night's girls lacrosse semifinals. That'll do it for this Nutmeg Sports update. Let's go back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. Well, in other local news, Lone Star ticks are a new concern in the state of Connecticut. According to Dr. Kirby Stafford at the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station, the Lone Star ticks are not yet established in Connecticut. However, 75 or so Lone Star specimens sent to the station's tick lab each year. Most have come from Fairfield County. Originally from the southeast, the ticks have moved north. Stafford said they have been well established on Long Island since 1990, and they're becoming more established on Cape Cod. He added that the agricultural station has not picked up any Lone Star ticks in its studies in this area, and he surmised that the ticks found here were carried in by birds from Long Island or perhaps Maine, where they're also established. They could also be carried in by people visiting Long Island or New Jersey. Now, Lone Star ticks are reddish brown and 3 to 4 millimeters long. They're rounder than the black-legged tick, and their bite can be painful and cause significant irritation because of long mouth parts. Now, these ticks do not carry Lyme disease, but they are associated with ehrlichiosis, and they may cause people bitten by them to develop an allergy to red meat, including beef, pork, lamb, and venison. Well, in other news, the state of Connecticut has officially granted a moratorium to the town of New Canaan so that for the next 4 years, housing developers may not come into New Canaan and circumvent local planning and zoning regulations by building affordable housing. The word came from First Selectman Rob Malazzi, who received the notice that the State Department of Housing issued a certificate of affordable housing completion in New Canaan on June 6th. He said the moratorium keeps pressure off from developers who might want to come in under 8-30G and put up affordable housing in areas that may not be as desirable for intense land use and densities. There's a lot more on that story at ncadvertiser.com. And finally, Straight Talk with Tracy, a Silver Hill Hospital production, returns this week on HAN, focusing on communicating with teenagers. Roller coasters and Ferris wheels communicating with your teen airs Thursday, tomorrow, June 8th at noon. Host Tracy Masella and child psychologist Dr. Aaron Krasner will discuss developing a family frame of rules and expectations, as well as setting limits, how much is too much negotiation, and how to teach your child to be independent. Now, Straight Talk airs the second Thursday of each month on HAN and our news sites, focusing on different topics surrounding mental health and addiction. We're going to step out for a break, and when we come back, we're going to recap some of the top stories we're following after this.
Part of banking well is doing good. That's why, with the support of local community partners, Bankwell has launched the Bankwell Pet Adoption Project to boost awareness about the hundreds of animals in local shelters that need a home. And when you donate to the cause using the Bankwell self-service coin machines, we'll match your donation. For details, visit mybankwell.com/pleaseadoptme. Bank smart, bank local, bank well.
Spring has sprung at Walter Stewart's Market, and we're celebrating the new season with fresh takes on spring. From the finest produce around to guaranteed fresh seafood delivered daily by the best local supplier. Not only are we your time-saving one-stop shop for everything you need this season, our personable team is always ready with a helping hand. Shop Stewart's for the best of spring. Find us at 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
The new fishing season is fast approaching, so it's time to head over to the dock shop and get your gear in order. We're now offering bait in both Darien and our Westport location. The dock shop can service and repair your rods and reels, spool up new line, and fill any empty space you might have in your tackle box. Whether you're a fisherman, boater, or beach bum, the dock shop is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
Did you know heart attacks and strokes are the leading cause of death in America? Protect the health of you and your loved ones. Talk to a doctor about heart disease. Hi, I'm Dr. David Pazer with ProHealth Physicians, encouraging you to stay informed about health matters that affect you.
ProHealth Physicians is on the pulse of social media to share information about health and nutrition with the community. Get up-to-the-minute alerts, including ProHealth Physicians' news and upcoming events. Connecticut's leading group of primary care doctors is just a click away.
At Budget Blinds, we're in business to frame the light, the day, and the night. So we give you an exclusive combination of high style, expert service, our no surprises pricing, and our no questions asked warranty. We believe that everyone, at every budget, deserves style and service. Isn't that a beautiful place to be?
I can't believe it.
Well, Dad, you did it. You sold 160 cars. Ready to go back upstairs now?
I think it's time. I wonder how the boys are making out in their new office.
Not what I had in mind, Kyle. What, Dad?
Maybe we should retire. Right now, lease a 2017 Rogue S for only $139 a month. Isn't it time you got Millerized?
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier network, and we've also reached more than 2 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Welcome back to this Wednesday edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, recapping some of the top stories we're following today. A two-car crash on Weston Road near School Road in Weston sent 2 people to the hospital yesterday. 2 people were transported to Norwalk Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Weston Road was closed for a short period of time while those vehicles were removed, and a witness who came upon the scene after the accident happened said both vehicles had extensive damage. Eversource Connecticut was notified due to damage to a nearby telephone pole, and that accident remains under investigation. And State's Attorney Stephen Sedensky has closed the criminal investigation into the death of Gugsa Abe DeBella yesterday. He said the death of DeBella in Reading in 2014 was not a homicide. Sedensky wrote in a public statement that the evidence does not support a conclusion that DeBella's death was a homicide. Accordingly, the criminal investigation into that matter is now closed. The family of DeBella, who was a Readingite and an attorney, found dead of a gunshot wound after an auto accident in 2014 in Reading, had filed a civil lawsuit against the town of Reading, as well as Police Chief Douglas Fuchs, 7 Reading police officers, and killer John Doe back in 2016, claiming that Reading police conducted an improper investigation of that accident. While the state's attorney's findings do not support their accusation, and Police Chief Douglas Fuchs has long supported the investigation undertaken by his officers. According to police reports, DeBella died of a gunshot wound after being involved in a one-car accident on Umpqua Road in the early morning hours of April 5th, 2014. The first responders to the scene found DeBella dead with a single bullet hole in his head, and there was a .40 caliber pistol in the car. The medical examiner later ruled his death a homicide. A suicide rather. And in other news, legal settlements over sexual abuse allegations against 4 now deceased priests, including Robert Morrissey, former pastor of St. Mary's Parish in Ridgefield, have been reached between the Diocese of Bridgeport and 5 victims. The settlements were announced by the Bridgeport law firm of Tremont, Sheldon, Robinson, and Mahoney, which represented all of the victims. HAN's Ridgefield Press reports that Morrissey served as pastor of St. Mary Parish in Ridgefield from 1992 until 2002, when he resigned after sexual abuse allegations allegations were made against him. Well, the allegations in the lawsuit that was just settled stem from Morrissey's time as a counselor at St. Mary's High School in Greenwich. Morrissey's priestly faculties were permanently removed in 2004 by then Bishop of Bridgeport, William Laurie. Morrissey died in 2014. Well, the just concluded settlements involve abuse claims against 4 priests of the Diocese of Bridgeport by 5 victims who were minors at the time of the abuse. In addition to Morrissey, the priests and institutions where they served when the alleged abuse took place are Reverend Martin Federici, accused of abuse while serving in 3 settings: St. Thomas the Apostle Church in Norwalk, St. Edward the Confessor in New Fairfield, and on Emmaus church retreats in Danbury, as well as Reverend Walter Coleman, accused of abuse while at St. Patrick's Church in Bridgeport, and Reverend James Gildea, accused of abuse while at Notre Dame High School in Fairfield. And in other news, 14 Chipotle restaurants in southwestern Connecticut may have been affected in a security breach early this spring, according to the chain. Chipotle said on its website that the investigation identified the operation of malware designed to access payment card data from cards used on point-of-sale devices at certain restaurants. This happened between March 24th and April 18th. Now, the malware searched for track data read from the magnetic strip of the payment card as it was being routed through the POS device. Not all locations were involved, and the specific time frames vary by location, but the restaurant locations include Chipotle's in Bridgeport, Danbury, Darien, Fairfield, Westport, and Greenwich, among others. There's more details available at chipotle.com/security. Let's throw it over to Frank Gordito now for one final look at the forecast.
Thank you, Kate. And again, finally some sunshine breaking through here in Fairfield County as early morning cloud cover has cleared out. We're going to see mostly clear skies for the rest of the day. Comfortable out with an expected high of 64, and we're looking at light breezes between 10 to 12 miles per hour before mostly cloudy skies overnight and a low of 50 degrees heading into Thursday. A little warmer on Thursday with a high of 68. Mostly sunny skies again, but a couple of clouds mixed in later in the day. Cool conditions overnight as temperatures fall back down into the low 50s, but we should see warmer temperatures out on Friday as thermometers will climb back up into the mid to high 70s. Partly sunny skies and breezy through the afternoon. Mostly clear overnight, a low of 61, but this weekend looks like it will finally feel like summer again.
Thanks so much, Frank. Now, before we wrap things up here on Coffee Break, we do have to say goodbye to our director, Eric Gendron. It is his last time directing Coffee Break here at the HAN Network. He's been directing it since we were in a tiny radio studio doing Coffee Break in a kind of an HAN radio style, and he's been with us ever since, been a big part of HAN moving forward, and we are going to miss you, Eric. Good luck. We are going to wrap things up here on your Coffee Break. Eric will still be joining us for CT Pulse at 12:30. However, we're going to be talking about the social host laws in Connecticut and 2 o'clock Nutmeg Sports. We'll see you tomorrow, 12 o'clock, for Straight Talk with Tracy, so be sure to check it out. Have a great day.